Coming up on 90 Day Fiancé Unfiltered, a new past feud explodes. Kenny is coming for the happily ever after star who scammed fans. Chantel's girlfriend Ashley opens up about her past and opens a big bag of spicy toys. Plus, Darcey says she is ready for a make-under. You will not believe the extreme procedure that she's starting with, as Georgi considers going under the knife too. I have news, cast updates, and recaps from this week's brand new episodes of 90 Day Diaries, Happily Ever After, and The Other Way, straight ahead. Hello and welcome. I hope that you all are having a fantastic week. Are you planning your 90 Day Fiancé themed Halloween costumes yet? This is something that just occurred to me. It could be kind of fun to do even here on the show in October, so please share your ideas with me. I think it could go beyond just a cast member. Like, I could be a whole new person next week, or maybe we could go with concepts like a zombie who died because you were against the queen. I thought that one was pretty clever. Or you could be Andre's birthday house. Or maybe I could be a condom that's for slut people. See what I did there? Yeah, we can have a lot of fun with this. So let me know what you guys come up with too. And maybe we'll get some inspiration here in our 90 Day Fiancé news of the week. Let's jump into it. I told you last week about Tigerlily posting this clickbait that she and Adnan had broken up, only to charge fans $10 for an Instagram subscription to find out that they absolutely had not. So the daddy of 90 Day, Kenny, is not having any of this. I'm talking about Kenny of Kenny and Armando, who you are going to see on your screens upcoming in an episode of 90 Day Diaries. He is calling out Tigerlily, though, on social media. Tigerlily had bragged that her fake breakup post with Adnan was viewed over 10 million times. She said that they broke the internet and added, imagine if they were on the show every week, which of course they haven't been on Happily Ever After 4 weeks, and it doesn't look like they will be anytime soon. But Tigerlily is still chasing that bag, making sure that she maintains her attention, and Kenny is not having any of it. He posted on Instagram and said this: "Come on, lady, you don't carry a show. No one carries it themselves. Let's not disrespect and make others' lives and stories less than." I love this part. "Hoist yourself out of La La Land and get it together. Humble yourself." Can't you just imagine Kenny saying just that? He added one more slide and said, "No internet has been broke by you, just your ego." Ouch! Tigerlily has not responded yet to Kenny calling her out, but she has been posting some loved up pics with her husband, who she's very much together with, kissing at the pumpkin patch with their son Zane. And she just said, "Love you today, lose you tomorrow, back in love by Friday." Oh, that's just so gross. It's really pathetic and comes off as incredibly immature for a woman in her 40s with 3 children. I don't think that if she keeps pulling these kind of antics that they will ever be back in the 90 Day Fiancé universe. If you're sick of hearing about it, I'm sick of talking about it too. So let's move on to someone who I am always excited to discuss, Miss Larissa. The woman who married Colty a million years ago and then was fired from the franchise for doing adult live feeds, something that a lot of the 90 Day Fiancé folks do now. Well, she's making news because after her appearance earlier this year on Plastic Surgery Rewind, she has admitted that she was addicted to plastic surgery, and she is keeping her make-under that we watched on the show, she is keeping it going. She was addicted to fillers, getting them weekly. She had breast implants, of course, a BBL, but Dr. Terry Dubrow gave her this whole make-under with 13 vials of dissolvers to get rid of her filler. She took her 1,500cc boobs down to 700 and says that she wants to get rid of her breast implants entirely eventually. The really interesting thing, though, is as Larissa is on this sort of self-discovery journey that is really revolving around the way that she looks, she also hopes to go back to school, get an education, and do something other than OnlyFans. She actually wants to study hospitality and hopes to get a real job someday. She's kind of getting over the whole adult content thing. Larissa explained all of this in a recent interview where she was also asked who she thinks from the 90 Day universe could also use a make-under. And she said this: "Stacey and Darcey are sweethearts, but they went too deep in the face." She says they are beautiful women who should find a new doctor who could change them for the best, but that requires a lot of self-reflection. So Larissa's being really kind here, but she is definitely answering this question and putting all eyes on Darcey. course, there's always a lot of conversation amongst fans about the way that Darcey looks and the procedures that it seems online like she's constantly getting. Well, get this, folks. Darcey just said in an interview that she is also considering a make-under. Now, this is not a ploy to appear on the next season of Plastic Surgery Rewind on E, because that is a different network, and Darcey would have to be let out of her TLC contract by them to go do that show. None of that's going to happen, but it sounds like Darcey might explore this on her own, though. She is considering getting a fifth boob job to go smaller. A few sizes down is where she wants to go. She says her back hurts and she's over it. Georgi responded while they're sitting there together in this interview and told her, you need to focus on different things than surgery because you are beautiful. Don't do any surgery. But Darcey totally outed him and revealed that last time they went to Turkey, which is where she and Stacey get a lot of their procedures done, that Georgi had his own consultation and that he actually wants to do his nose and get 360 lipo, which is full body and includes 6-pack ab etching, where they can actually give you abs without doing even one sit-up. So this interview was conducted a few weeks ago, so that was before last week's birthday post where Georgi said happy birthday to his wife, and she said, take me off your Instagram. I do not want to be exploited on your social media anymore. Clearly, they're doing promotion together, and they are actually, right now, as we speak, Darcey and Georgi are currently together in Mexico receiving stem cell treatments, and they're posting it all over social media. That was no doubt a pre-contracted, sponsored post, probably a trip that's been planned for quite some time, where they are getting free procedures, and they are possibly also getting paid to post. So the fact that Darcey and Georgi are in Mexico together hanging out doesn't necessarily mean that all is well in their relationship. We will get to what happened between Darcey and Georgi on this week's Happily Ever After, but first, let's talk 90-Day Diaries, because I know a lot of you are hesitant to tune in. You think it's not that juicy, it doesn't give us much, and I have to say, there's 3 stories every week, and usually one of them is really, really good, and the other 2 are a bit of a dud. So this week they kicked things off with Chantel and Ashley. And if you didn't watch this week, you may have missed what I'm starting to see as like the most loving real couple that I think we have ever seen on the franchise in Chantel and Ashley. And also a little bit of a sidebar here. Chantel's been talking about getting her breast reduction, and she went through with it just in the last week or 2. So she is currently healing from her surgery and says that Ashley is taking care of her. That's what's happening in real time. But remember, Chantel already had on 90-Day Diaries her big birthmark removal last season, and fans spotted Ashley in the background of a lot of that. Ashley was her caretaker at that time. Still doing the same thing. See what a real couple they are. This is clearly a real relationship between 2 people who are taking good care of each other. And Chantel says on 90-Day Diaries that she wants to take Ashley on a little trip. She says it's their 3rd date, but really that they had their first date months ago. So they're playing with the timing of this here. And you will also never guess where Chantel wants to take Ashley: on a tropical getaway to her ex-husband's home country, where she has spent a lot of time and had a lot of drama, to the Dominican Republic. As Chantel sits and explains this upcoming trip to the cameras, I am distracted and absolutely obsessed by her dog, Chloe Bear Chanel, who is just the super cutest, and who, spoiler alert, by the end of this episode, gets a new sister moving in with her named Bella too. So they're gonna be a cute little pack. And Chloe Bear Chanel really helped me out here. I do not believe for one second that 90-Day Diaries is entirely self-shot by the cast. I think a lot of times there is a producer or a cameraman there, at least making sure that everything looks and sounds good, asking questions, pushing the storyline forward. But in this moment where Chantel's talking to the camera, Chloe Bear Chanel is there, she totally gave it away. She is looking up and down at that tripod, and it just made me realize that if there was a person there in the room with them, Chloe Bear Chanel would definitely be reacting, and we would know. So that's how I'm going to make sure everything's on the up and up here. I'm going to be keeping my eye on Chloe Bear. But once we see Chantel and Ashley on screen together, again, they have so much passion. They really seem to enjoy their time together. And the reason why it's coming across to me that they are the most in love couple ever, the most genuine couple ever, it occurred to me that we don't usually see this part of the couple's relationships. By the time we see them, they've spent a lot of time apart usually. You know, One's in another country. They're waiting on a 90-day fiancé visa to come through, or they have to go the other way. We never meet the couples at the very beginning of their relationship, and that's usually the cutest part, right? So the fact that we are seeing Chantel and Ashley really lay the groundwork and be good with each other is something that, again, we never saw Jasmine and Gino ever be good together. We never saw the good parts, the happy parts of most of these relationships, just the breakdown and eventual breakup. But Chantel is in the honeymoon phase, and she is prepared. Remember on Hunt for Love when she was going on a date with Rocky and she had to pull up her phone so that she could access the questions that she had written to ask him because she was fully prepared to have a great date? Well, surprise, surprise, Chantel did the same thing when she was suspecting that she might be having some lesbian sex in her future. She says she did her research so she would know what she is doing, and Ashley did confirm during the episode that Chantel has great skills in that area. But the problem here is that we, the audience, have known since the Hunt for Love tell-all that Chantel and Ashley lived together. So either they should have taken that little tiny tidbit out of the tell-all then, which we didn't really need to know at the time. That ended up being about Karen and her relationship with Ashley. And it totally ruins this 90-day Diaries storyline that Chantel has a big question she wants to ask Ashley when they are on their trip. And it is, shocker, does she want to move in with Chantel? I think the producers are probably just that desperate to tell Chantel's story, especially now that it has gotten so salacious, really. Obviously, this shouldn't be something that is considered so scandalous, Chantel switching teams, but it is, and production is exploiting the crap out of it. So that's why we are going to see every moment that they got on camera, every milestone on Chantel's new relationship journey. What about Ashley, though? So we know a little bit about her. She used to work at the production company who produced Chantel's show. She was friends with Karen and then with River, Chantel's mom and brother. So a lot of people are suspicious of her. There was a moment on Diaries where Ashley really explained herself. She was sitting alone in the room without Chantel, and she was talking about how she has been a few women's first lesbian relationship, which sounded like a flex. And, you know, Ashley has like a lot of riz, right? So it sounded like she was bragging until she also explained that she felt like she was used as an experiment for those women who eventually just went back to dating men. So she's got some hesitation, Ashley does, even though it seems to be going so well with Chantel. And that was really evident when Chantel finally asked her if she would move in, and Ashley did not immediately jump up and say yes. She did eventually agree, and there's a really cute scene at the end of the show where she is moving into Chantel's house. Like I said, she brought her backpack of sex toys along. She is very efficient. She is well prepared, and that works out for her, seeing as how their little story on this episode ends with them slamming the bedroom door in poor little Bella the dog's face so they could go get it on. So I expect to see a whole lot more of Chantel and Ashley because it is hot. It has everyone talking, and I think the producers, again, think that they have struck gold. I'm wondering if they are testing the waters to see if there will be another season of The Family Chantel. You know who else is having sex with each other but not admitting to it? Sophie and Rob. So this was another glaring omission in 90 Day Diaries where Sophie finally reveals that she filed for divorce from Rob. We've all been waiting for this for a long time. They haven't been together for what seems like a year or two now already. And I think that the reason why Sophie has finally filed for divorce from Rob is because she can now afford to. She didn't have much before. She's doing great on social media now with sponsored posts, selling her own products, and on OnlyFans as well. So now that she's got the money, apparently that was high on her priority list. In addition to moving to Los Angeles, this was huge news for Sophie. So I agree that yes, that is weird to move to the town where your ex lives, but let's not forget that that's where they first settled when she moved here. That was her first home in the US. I really can't blame her. It's my favorite city in the whole world. I lived there for 14 years and loved it. Her fellow 90 Day alum and great friend Aaliyah lives there. I think there's a lot of opportunity for someone like Sophie to do collaborations with other creators, either in the adult space or just the influencer space. And you know, there are a lot of people who do that kind of work who do move to LA and start working with other sex workers, and then they start to push their boundaries a little bit, or maybe start to do a little more on OnlyFans. So I'm really wondering how this move to LA will affect Sophie's influencer career. It's understandable that Sophie would want to move to LA, and then she can get her Vegemite caramel latte decaf, which she ordered when she got to the cafe on the show. Vegemite, you guys probably know, it's big in the land down under and apparently in Europe as well. It's this pasty stuff that's supposed to be healthy. It's made with vegetables, which is why Rhea Ripley gave me some to try once. Because I'm vegan, she's like, oh, you might like this and it's healthy and whatever. And it was the weirdest tasting, textured, I can just say it kind of tastes brown. And when they make a latte out of it, I had to look this up. They like smear it on the inside of the glass. And then she, of course, had caramel and coffee in there as well, which all sounds incredibly disgusting to me. But get your Vegemite caramel latte, girl. That's not all that was hot in this interaction. When Rob and Sophie get together, they have so much chemistry. And at first, it sort of seems like sexy chemistry, like they're really into each other, but it got to be fiery and angry really, really quick. Rob is really angry at this time still about Sophie, he says, saying that he was gay. So this is all the way back to not the Hunt for Love tell-all, which Sophie didn't even appear on, but the tell-all for the last resort that they were on is what he's still talking about on 90 Day Diaries. Why are they acting like the Hunt for Love tell-all didn't happen, where Rob admitted that he and Sophie hooked up several times after he got back from the resort? There is no talk about that on this episode of Diaries. They're acting like it did not happen. They're still talking about what happened on their tell-all before that. And this leads Sophie to clarify, no, Rob is straight. He's straight. She kind of goes off on this whole thing and he's like, well, that's condescending and even worse, which he was right about. And Sophie makes this clarification in her interview. She says, I did not say that Rob is gay. I said that he sucks D for money and there's a difference, which is absolutely true, especially in LA. You know, we got something called gay for pay and that's a whole thing. So I understand what she is saying she was saying here, but of course that's just splitting hairs and it didn't make Rob feel much better when she made this grandiose statement. No, you're straight. The way that they talk to each other, even about the future and when she finally revealed to him that she had filed for divorce, they both sound like they know damn well that they are not going to leave each other's lives. They both sound like, yeah, I want you out of my life. Yeah, I'll never talk to you again. And there's almost like a wink right there. You can just tell this is one of those couples who it is never going to be over between the two of them until one of them is married to somebody else. So they're playing too much with the timing there and kind of treating the fans on 90 Day Diaries like we don't watch everything, which is ridiculous because the only fans that would watch 90 Day Diaries are the ones who watch everything. So stop telling us stuff that we already know, like in this storyline with Liz as well. And we love Liz now that she is not with Ed anymore. She is really fun to watch. I am rooting for her, but we already know, watching her go through this chemo journey, that she's now cancer-free. Not only that, but we already knew that she was broken up with Jason, who was her rebound sort of from Ed, because she's already engaged to another man. Hello, we read Reddit, we know these things. So I hope that Liz's storyline has really progressed the next time we see her, because again, I'm really rooting for her and it was really heart-wrenching to watch her go through this health journey. But knowing that she's good now, it was sort of like, we don't need to torture ourselves in that way. Let's watch her be happy and get engaged. Well, that's not gonna be next week, but on 90 Day Diaries in the next episode, here's what will go down. Thais tells friends that Patrick thinks she is cheating if they don't have sex. We've been talking a lot about this. They put it in the trailer and fans are losing their minds over what sounds in this very short clip like emotional abuse and manipulation. We are finally gonna get her whole explanation and hear what is happening in their relationship. Also next week, Natalie will get a nose job because of people telling her whole life that her nose is ugly. I'm gonna be interested in that because I think it might have to do more with she's been on TV now the last several years, and if she grew up having people talk to her about her nose, why now? Does it have something to do with the online commentary, social media? You know, I'm always just looking to kind of humanize Natalie a little bit because she does not do that herself, but they're going to keep showing her to us, so we might as well keep watching. And a probably boring segment, Kobe and Emily will argue over parenting. Even their tease is boring, so why are they giving us Kobe and Emily, probably because they're great on Pillow Talk, so they want fans to keep up with their story. We'll watch. Maybe you won't, but I'll still let you know right here what happens. So on that note, I know that you tuned into Happily Ever After this week because it is just getting crazier by the week. And now, let's jump right into Jasmine and Matt. Matt is showing us another new side of himself, a self-righteous and judgmental side. This man seems to get worse every week. And when he said that he has got so many things going on for himself that his mom and everyone else would be like, what are you doing with this woman? And that was not only insulting to Jasmine and everyone else, but also, what the F do you have going on, Matt? We heard that he was an actor before. He was maybe a used car salesman, is what Jasmine had said. What did you have going so hard for you? You're still unmarried in your 30s. I'm guessing your mom really wants some grandbabies and wants you to settle down. We know Matt has nothing going on for himself besides being now a new reality TV star. And I guess I'm not going to get through this entire episode without hopping up on my vegan soapbox, because Matt did call Jasmine out for eating hot dog buns for breakfast, and I'm telling you, that's the problem. Junk food vegans are not making sure that they get the nutrients they need, which you can easily do on a vegan diet, and that is why she was craving meat so bad. Stop eating hot dog buns for breakfast, boo. Maybe have some fruits and veggies, nuts, legumes, feed your baby. Jasmine is pretty pregnant by this point, but I do want to point out, so his friend didn't know about her pregnancy, and they're talking like it's still a secret. That's because the world didn't know yet. There was a little bit of rumblings once she got this big. There was one picture from TLC where people were speculating. But as of this point, Matt's family and friends would not have had any idea that Jasmine might be pregnant at this point. There also was a discrepancy here in the storyline. Matt said this week that he was just tired of Michigan and wanted to move to Florida for the weather or whatever. Whereas when they played it out on the show, it was so urgent. Matt has to move right now for something specific, which they never really clarified what that was either. So, like, again, please just don't treat us like we're dumb and we don't watch everything and remember everything, because we watch it twice, and we do. And then we come here and talk about it more because I like to really dive in. So when Jasmine explained that they have this phrase in Spanish that means happy penis, I wanted to know more. I asked ChatGPT and they're like, we don't really know what you're talking about. And then I was like, she's from Panama. And they were like, oh, okay. So I got the actual phrase. It is pito alegre, which directly translates to happy penis. It can also be pito dulce and pito loco, as in crazy. I love the Spanish language because it is so expressive. And I think that pito alegre may be a phrase that we can use continually here on 90 Day Fiancé Unfiltered. Jasmine's attitude towards her pregnancy has seemed to change a little bit too. The last couple weeks she was talking about really feeling ashamed and feeling guilty about her pregnancy, but now she doesn't seem to be feeling any of that. She doesn't understand why Matt is hesitant to introduce her and talk about their situation to his family, even to the point where when this episode aired a couple days ago, she posted on Instagram and said, even after watching last night's episode, I don't understand Matt's opposition about me meeting the family. I think because Jasmine has gotten so much attention from her pregnancy and probably continued roles on the show, it's a good thing for her. She can't see why her pregnancy is a bad thing because it has been positive in her world. I am starting to kind of think that maybe Jasmine did get pregnant on purpose. I was so sure when she was first revealing it to Gino that she was truly shell-shocked, didn't know what to do, and was more concerned than excited. But now her attitude is changed in a way that sort of feels like, well, this is all according to plan. So why would I be upset? Now it's time for you to introduce me to your parents, and then the next step that I have planned. And I'm just starting to really wonder what was going on in Jasmine's mind when she was having unprotected sex with a man who wasn't her husband. What's her husband up to? Well, when he finally comes into this episode, and it is a huge dramatic scene at the very end where Jasmine and Gino finally talk on the phone, but Jasmine gets one dig in first when he doesn't answer right away. She says, oh, he must be watching porn. That doesn't help Jasmine at all, because what she has done in a lot of people's eyes is a lot worse than just your husband watching porn. And she keeps trying to push that narrative that like that was the whole problem in their relationship because he wouldn't be intimate with her because he was too busy consuming pornography. That's kind of tired. It didn't work. Like, stop making Gino's a porn addict happen. It's not going to happen. She's got to find something else to say. Him saying that their relationship was good when she was in Panama, like he wishes that it was like that, and that's the reason why she was so wonderful then, is why he wanted to bring her over and put his time and energy and money into doing that. Hello, again, we saw everything happen. When she was still living in Panama, that's when he was leaking her nude photos to his ex. When she was getting fired from her job for being on the show. When they were fighting that, I just want to cook a vegan food for you. Remember, like they were fighting constantly and not being intimate with each other way back then already. So what the hell is he talking about there? And that had a lot to do with Gino's actions as well. So him just trying to characterize their early relationship as being good is like another thing I'm not buying. However, I do not believe that Jasmine committed marriage fraud. At least not any more than Gino did. They just kept doing the next thing to be on the show, and when the next thing became a K-1 visa and an engagement and then a marriage, that's what they both did. I do not believe that Jasmine was that desperate to come to the United States. She was doing fine where she was. Remember, she was in that beautiful apartment that she was living in with her ex, paying for her BBL and the whole thing, so she was doing fine. She didn't commit marriage fraud, in my opinion, and I do not believe that she should be deported while she was pregnant at this time or ever, and I think she has a lot of avenues that she can use to stay here, and I think that those are clearly working out for her. Jasmine's biggest problem in her pregnancy seems to be what to wear. Maybe she could check in and get some advice from Darcey and Stacey, who looked hot, doing their aerial workout. Darcey had on a sheer thonged bodysuit, and she's flipping around in the air. Their bodies are incredible. Both Darcey and Stacey, they look good, and I think they should both wear whatever the hell they want, whenever the hell they want. The breaking news here that was so shocking was Darcey revealing that her and Georgi split their rent. This is always fascinating to me, the way that other couples do their lives. When I was growing up, my parents had a joint checking account, put it all in a pool together, and that's how I was raised. When I got married, I was going to do the same thing. That was new and different for my husband, whose parents, because his dad was a business owner, had always kept their income separate. And it was like, oh, we use mom's income for stuff for the kids and dad's income for XYZ. And it wasn't like, what's mine is not yours, but it's just a different way of doing things. So to hear that Darcey and Georgi split the rent, that helps us know what is really going on in their marriage and in their lives on the day-to-day that we don't see. We also learned that he paid for the trip to Bulgaria, allegedly. Now, that would be a weird thing to just make up, and the cast is always saying that production does not pay for the trips. I think there's a lot more to that. I think sometimes they do. But in this instance, she's saying that Georgi really did pay for their trip to Bulgaria and that he wants Darcey to pay him back half of it. That makes me think that her asking for half the rent was actually unusual and that he retaliated against that request by asking her to pay for Bulgaria. So is it like, yeah, we split the rent, but most months she just doesn't ask? That's kind of what I'm assuming here from what she said. Also, I'm assuming that the reason why she looped Daddy in on a text message to get this money from Georgi is probably because her dad is a co-signer on her and Georgi's lease for their apartment in Miami. That would make a lot of sense, right? That's happened. I know we've all had to do that. When I was working at E making $12 an hour, you can bet my parents were a co-signer on my apartment lease. And Darcey has a lot going on. She's got kids and her dad has always helped her take care of her family. So I assume that he would be the one who would be responsible if they didn't pay. And that's why her adding him to the chat had Georgi paying the rent. They were very separated, Georgi and Darcey, throughout most of the episode until this dinner party at the end where their friends are there too. And they seemed cordial at first when they're talking, Darcey and Georgi, and then it just all goes downhill from there. It sort of is starting to feel like they know that divorce is the only place for their story to go. And so if they are going to continue on this marriage that may or may not be for the cameras to some extent, if they're going to keep doing it for the cameras, the next thing to do is get divorced. And I can't quite gauge how either of them feel about that, but we are definitely going to get more conversations in future episodes. And the fact that Darcey's friend, who also has her own 90-day type story and who I would really like to get to know better and who is gorgeous, abs for days. You know, Georgi does not need to go to Turkey and get ab etching. He should just ask her whatever she did. Go to her fitness class. But she revealed that Darcey and Georgi fight a lot. She said she sees them fighting all the time. So that's when the cameras are not there. And that to me was more telling because it's like, oh no, they really are together. They're a couple that are around their other couple friends. And when they aren't filming for the show, they really do live life together. But it's not so good. Man, I am just always rooting for Darcey to find real love and to be happy. And there have been a few moments throughout this season of Happily Ever After where it felt like that could be with Georgi. I guess we will just have to see where it goes. At least Darcey and Georgi are giving us something. The whole storyline with the OG couples being blended together could not be more boring. It could not be more fake. I know I say this every week. Here's something I didn't say last week. Jovi really does look like Jim Carrey from Dumb and Dumber. Oh my gosh. Yara calling him out on that made me laugh. And I'm also wondering if she had seen Dumb and Dumber. Obviously, it's a very popular movie back in the Ukraine and had made this inference herself, or if she saw someone else say on social media that Jovi looked like Jim Carrey and that she's now throwing this in his face. Either way, it was a brilliant moment. And I think that these adults making such a big deal out of like going sledding, I guess because they're from Florida, maybe they think that like sledding is cool and fun. For this girl who grew up in Minnesota, I'm like, babes, let's do something more interesting than that, or hot tubbing, which they also thought was pretty cool. Like, let's go get in the hot tub. I think people who are pretty much the same age as me, you all are showing your age by being like, it was sexy night in the hot tub with my other couple friends while the cameras roll. No, thank you. And how does Jovi still not know how to say the same shit he said last week about Yara's looks when she was growing up? How is she supposed to get over it when he's still saying the same dumb stuff? I don't know. There is no story here. So what will go down next week on Happily Ever After? The OG wives will go shopping while their husbands go snowmobiling. More marriage tropes, yay. Darcey, though, will go home to visit her dad and her daughters. We always love to see Aniko and Aspen and see what's going on with them. Keeping it all in the family. Also, Julia and Brandon will have a clash with Betty and Ron, who confront the couple, and then Brandon will cry like the coward that he is. There wasn't much that went down on their storyline this week. We just got to get to her pregnancy announcement. She's going to go travel by herself. We already knew that because we've seen it on social media for the last many months. But the real drama will come when Jasmine visits an immigration lawyer and is told that her situation with Gino and the threats that he's making are very, very serious. So I'm thinking we will maybe feel bad for Jasmine again next week. She might be getting some of our sympathy. Jasmine is certainly not so happily ever after. What about the folks who are going the other way? How are things working out for them? On last night's episode, Matthew and Greta finally reunited. Why the heck would Matthew not meet Greta at the airport? Did that train that she took from there to the countryside not go both ways? How does someone when you haven't seen your fiance for 6 months and she is doing this harrowing trip to come and be with you and come live with you with all of her stuff, how are you not going to the airport to pick her up and help her with that stuff and help her get to her new home? That is egregious to me. It all culminated in what I would call the lamest reunion ever. So we didn't even get the big airport moment. It was like at the train station, he's telling her how bad she stinks. It was awkward for sure. And it didn't even feel to me like they knew each other that well or liked each other that much. Greta did acknowledge, though, a little later in the episode that it was awkward with Matthew, that she felt he was being weird too. And it made me wonder if it was possibly just the cameras. A lot of people are not comfortable on camera, especially at the beginning. And so I'm wondering if that was maybe what we were feeling there was really just Matthew being like, oh, now I have to hug you in front of people? Weird. It also like super grosses me out when people don't shower immediately and change their clothes after traveling. So when Greta gets to the house and she still has her backpack on and she's like rifling through his drawers and taking out the clean clothes and all that, I'm like, did you even wash your hands yet, babe? Oh, sometimes the partner will comment on this. Matthew sure didn't. He couldn't seem to care less about anything that Greta was doing or about her being there entirely. But sometimes when the person who has just traveled like tries to get in the bed, the other person in the couple will be like, ew, that's gross, it's weird. And I'm like, I am right with you. I feel like Greta was maybe gonna hunker down and take a nap without ever hopping in the shower. I will give her this though. She said, I know it's silly to cry over not having any space to put my stuff. No, it is absolutely not at all silly to cry over not having a place to put your stuff in your new home. I would cry too if I showed up and my fiance had not bothered to make it feel like my new home at all. Meanwhile, Jenny and Sumit are having a housewarming party. They're welcoming everybody and getting nice and warm at his parents' house. So I want to point out that clearly Sumit's family is not cool with their relationship because of what went down, but they came to this little gathering, and I'm guessing it's because the cameras were there, not because they suddenly accept the relationship. I think it's sort of the same reason why his mom Sadhna is also all cool with everything. It feels cute and fun to go film for TV, right? So whoever we have to be nice to make that happen, we are going to, until we're already there and the cameras are rolling. So Sadhna has met her match in this scene. I still cannot believe that she went from threatening to sacrifice herself if Jenny and Sumit got married to standing up for them and saying that she's happy if they're happy. It really made sense after producer sat her down and had her explain. She had her own little interview moment where she talked about how she got to where she is now and being cool with Jenny and Sumit to the point where they can move into her house. And cool to the point where she's even standing up for them to her sister-in-law, who has a problem not only with Jenny's age, but also with the fact that Jenny was not like up on all the customs and couldn't draw a flower in chalk on the floor to her liking. When the sister-in-law really goes off and tells Sadhna, like, you ruined him, meaning Sumit, and going off about the age gap in their relationship and how no one in society will accept the family anymore, I'm wondering if, as that confrontation continues to play out, will Sumit's mom go hard for them and continue to stand up for them? Or she seemed like a little scared of this woman, and she seemed like this woman has a higher place or has more right to speak her opinion in the family. Something where it felt like Sadhna was sort of acquiescing to her sister-in-law. So is she going to continue to do that, or is she going to really ride hard for Sumit and Jenny? I guess we will see. I also want to know, what business could Chloe and Johnny do together? So they're getting to the point where they're talking about him quitting his job on the ship because she doesn't like him hanging out with all the women and flipping them in the air and the whole thing. So they have this big sit-down conversation about starting their own business together, which obviously with his skills in entertainment and knowing the tourism there and her marketing skills, it makes a lot of sense that they could create something together. But why, when they were having this conversation, would they not say what it was? Clearly, they were talking about something specific that the producers did not clue us into. So is that because it's a reveal for later? Is that because it goes nowhere? I don't know, but I really just needed more in this scene. Like, what are they talking about then? Also, him climbing to the top of the rope on the pirate ship and flipping girls off with him, I don't think that's really that big of a deal. He's at work, he's entertaining people, it's all part of the thing. And if he's really not trying to hook up with these women, which I believe that Johnny is trying to be faithful to Chloe, then what's the big deal? Let these women climb all over him. Let them fall in love. Let them think that he's going to go meet them at the bar later tonight, or he's going to have a party at his house like he did with Tanya or whatever it is. Let them think that. Let them goo goo gaga over him. If he's not going to hook up with them, what does it matter? He is making his money and he loves his job. That's something that's really hard to find. It doesn't sound like Chloe really loved her 6-figure job in marketing, or she would have stayed there, right? So let's let Johnny keep doing his thing, or let's let Johnny start his own pirate ship, and let's be a kick-ass marketing fiance and make sure that that works and set ourselves up together. Okay, Chloe, you're just focused on the wrong things. And again, I'm just gonna need Chloe to just grow up a little bit. She's pretty young, and I've seen and heard her do a lot of things that I'm like, yeah, that was me too. But girl, I'm telling you, it could be good for you, okay? Manon and Anthony didn't give us a whole lot this week. They played pétanque. So I just always love to learn the culture in France and those kind of things. And she talked to her family about some past body shaming that she felt like was going on in her home back in the day. So when Manon has said that she is talking about all of these traumatic things that happened to her and really telling the whole story of their marriage to the producers, and this is all we get, I'm starting to be a little bit disappointed by the other way. It being 1 hour just sort of feels like they can't get that deep into anything. Again, I'm so happy with that second hour being for Seeking Sister Wife because it's so good. But this has really been the most lackluster season ever of The Other Way for me. And so when they finally played the preview for next week and we get this, I was so excited. So listen up. On The Other Way next week, we will meet a new couple. Yes, in episode 5. It feels like we're a lot of weeks in for that, but sometimes it happens. This will be a 58-year-old exotic dancer and her 38-year-old fitness hunk fiance, Dylan from Tanzania. That sounds like another wild age gap relationship that's not gonna work out and be a hot mess, right? Well, let's think again, because these two have already been together for 12 years. So since this guy was 26 years old, but she also admits that they have broken up over 20 times. These two are going to be a hot mess. They are so entertaining. There's a reason why producers saved them for now. I think they knew they needed to spice things up, and that clearly is what this new couple is going to do. So I cannot wait to watch and then sit here and talk with you guys and hear your thoughts too about the new couple. Meanwhile, also Greta will talk to Matthew. She wants some weekly massages. He calls her a gold digger, but what gold is there to dig? This was a poorly cast season. I wonder if maybe the 58-year-old exotic dancer and her 38-year-old fiance were a late addition, maybe to casting, because they knew that they didn't have much. So maybe they haven't been filming those two as long as the rest of the couples. Maybe that's why they are entering in so late in the season. Because Luke and Madeline are the only other ones who have been giving us anything on The Other Way. And next week, she is going to sort of fake nice, like they're finally going to go on a date. And I got my hopes up, like, oh, we're finally going to see them be nice to each other before they get married. And then she will physically attack him, dumping cakes on him and the whole thing. It is quite a scene, and it is so wrong. We have watched several scenes in which there was domestic violence occurring on this show. A lot of them were Angela towards Michael. We know how that turned out. If you don't, you should watch some of my past videos. But they had to fire her and act like she never happened now on the series. Why would they encourage physical violence? It's clear from the scene that we see that it was set up for some kind of clown antics. They knew if they put 2 cakes in front of Madeline, she's gonna shove them in Luke's face. This was a setup. It's taking someone who is super young, and Madeline has a hard time dealing with her emotions. They know she's gonna pop off. They clearly put Luke and Madeline in a situation where they knew that this was gonna happen, and now they are exploiting the heck out of it, showing it in the teases. I believe it was in the trailer as well. And I just do not need to see any physical violence between any of the couples, whether it is the woman on the man and it's somebody throwing a cake in somebody's face, or whether it's something much more serious than that. It should be a zero tolerance policy. And if there ever is a situation on camera that someone could be charged with a crime for, that person should be cut from the show. They should have been stopped being filmed, and they should have been eliminated from the season when that incident occurred on set. I am wildly entertained by Madeline, and I like her. I'm rooting for her because I think when she grows up, she's going to be a lovely person and probably a great influencer and reality star someday. But as of right now, you have to either help her behave better on camera or give them a few years, because we do not need to see any more of that. TLC's reputation of giving a platform to abusers is strong, and it would be cool if they did something else. All right, I just covered Welcome to Plathville, the big season finale, and that whole family too, so I'm on one about all of that. And if you guys want to check that out, make sure that you are subscribed to my YouTube channel, and please watch 90 Day Fiancé Unfiltered there on YouTube, because that's where you get all the receipts, the pictures, the posts, the videos, everything that I'm talking about here you can see when you watch the show. But if you're a podcast listener, you can do that on any of your favorite podcast platforms. The show is on Instagram at 90 Day Fiancé Pod. And in addition to my Plathville finale fallout revealed video this week, I also recently went over a bunch of unbelievable couples updates from before the 90 days. So if you are subscribed to the channel and you turn on notifications, then you will know every time that breaking reality TV news happens and when the latest episode of 90 Day Fiancé Unfiltered drops. You can also reach out to me anytime at Christy Reports. I love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching this week. See you next time.